I was standing on the edge of a decision that would change everything. You see, for most of my life, I had lived according to what others wanted. I had shaped myself into the person others expected me to be. I had become an expert at fulfilling everyone else's needs while neglecting my own. And in that moment, I realized something profound that I want to share with you today. The most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. When you finally make the courageous choice to put yourself first, not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of self-respect, everything in your life transforms. Think about this. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you silenced your own voice to keep peace? How many times have you abandoned your dreams because someone told you they weren't practical? Each time you do this, you're choosing someone else over yourself. You're telling yourself that your needs, your desires, your happiness doesn't matter as much. But what if I told you that choosing yourself isn't selfish? It's necessary. The moment you decide to choose yourself above all else is the moment your life begins to change in ways you never thought possible. It's not about ignoring others or becoming self-centered. It's about honoring your truth, respecting your boundaries, and acknowledging that you cannot serve from an empty vessel. It's about understanding that you matter too. Let me tell you what happens when you finally choose yourself above all. Your entire world shifts. The way people treat you changes. The opportunities that come your way multiply. Your health improves. Your happiness expands. But most importantly, you begin to live authentically, perhaps for the first time in your life. From the time we're small children, most of us are taught to put others first. We're conditioned to believe that thinking of ourselves is wrong. We learn that good people sacrifice. Good people give until it hurts. Good people put themselves last. This programming runs deep in our minds, creating patterns that can last a lifetime if we don't become aware of them. Think about the messages you received growing up. Don't be selfish. Think about how your actions affect others. Put yourself in their shoes. All valuable lessons in empathy and kindness, but where were the lessons about self-care? Where were the messages that said, your needs matter too? It's okay to set boundaries. You deserve to prioritize your own happiness. Most of us never receive those messages. Instead, we absorb the idea that putting ourselves first means we're bad people. We internalize the belief that self-sacrifice equals virtue. And we've carried these beliefs into adulthood, often without questioning them. This societal programming creates an unhealthy pattern. We become people pleasers, afraid to say no. We become doormats, allowing others to walk all over us. We become martyrs, sacrificing our dreams for the sake of others. And we do all this believing it makes us good people. But here's what I've learned after decades of studying human behavior and spiritual principles. You cannot truly love others until you first love yourself. You cannot give from an empty cup. When you neglect yourself for the sake of others, you're not actually serving them in the highest way. You're showing up as a diminished version of yourself. You're teaching them that it's okay to take advantage of your kindness. You're modeling a pattern of self-neglect that they may adopt in their own lives. Self-worth is the foundation of all healthy choices. When you truly value yourself, you naturally make decisions that honor your will. You set boundaries that protect your energy. You pursue dreams that align with your authentic desires. You surround yourself with people who lift you up rather than drag you down. But for many of us, this sense of self-worth doesn't come naturally. We've been conditioned to derive our worth from external sources, from the approval of others, from our accomplishments, from how much we give. We've learned to see ourselves through other people's eyes, rather than recognizing our inherent value. To choose yourself, you must first believe that you're worthy of being chosen. You must understand at the deepest level that you have value simply because you exist, not because of what you do or what you achieve or how much you sacrifice, but because you are a unique expression of life with gifts that only you can offer. This isn't about inflating your ego or thinking you're better than others. It's about recognizing that you're no less deserving than anyone else. It's about understanding that taking care of yourself isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. When you build this foundation of self-worth, choosing yourself becomes natural. It no longer feels selfish or wrong. It feels like the most authentic expression of self-respect. It feels like coming home to yourself after a long time away. Of course, there's something powerful that often holds us back from choosing ourselves. Fear. Fear of disapproval. Fear of rejection. Fear of being labeled selfish. Fear of losing relationships. Fear of the unknown. These fears are real and valid. When you've spent a lifetime putting others first, the idea of prioritizing yourself can feel terrifying. What will people think? Will they still love you? Will they leave you? Will your world fall apart if you start saying no? I remember working with a woman named Sarah who had spent her entire life being the family caretaker. She was the one everyone called when they needed help. She was the shoulder everyone cried on. She was the person who dropped everything to rescue others. And she was exhausted, depleted, living a life that didn't feel like her own. When Sarah first considered the idea of choosing herself, of saying no, of setting boundaries, of pursuing her own dreams, she was paralyzed with fear. If I'm not the helper, who am I? She asked me. If I start saying no, will anyone still love me? These questions revealed the core fear that keeps so many of us from choosing ourselves. The fear that our worth is tied to what we do for others. The fear that if we stop giving until it hurts, we'll no longer be valued or loved. But here's what Sarah discovered, and what I want you to understand. When you choose yourself from a place of self-respect rather than selfishness, the right people will respect your choice. They might not like it at first. They might resist. They might try to pull you back into old patterns. But the people who truly love you will adjust. They'll learn to respect your boundaries. They'll begin to see you in a new light, not just as someone who serves their needs, but as a whole person with needs of your own. And yes, some relationships might fall away when you start choosing yourself. Some people might leave when they realize they can no longer take advantage of your giving nature. But these aren't the relationships that serve your highest good. These aren't the connections that help you grow and thrive. Breaking free from external expectations is a critical part of choosing yourself. We all carry the weight of expectations from our parents, our partners, our friends, our culture, our religion. These expectations shape our choices, often without us even realizing it. You should get married by this age. You should pursue this career path. You should live in this kind of neighborhood. You should want children. You should look this way. You should behave that way. These shoulds are like invisible chains, binding us to paths that may not be right for us. When you choose yourself, you begin to question these expectations. You begin to ask, is this what I really want? Or is this what I think I'm supposed to want? You begin to distinguish between your authentic desires and the desires that have been programmed into you. This doesn't mean rejecting all societal norms or family traditions. It means examining them consciously and deciding which ones align with your truth. It means giving yourself permission to want what you want, even if it doesn't fit the script that's been written for you. When you break free from these expectations, you create space for your authentic self to emerge. You allow yourself to be guided by your own inner wisdom rather than external pressures. You begin to write your own story rather than living the story others have created for you. Now, let's talk about what actually happens when you finally choose yourself above all. Let's start with your relationships. When you choose yourself, your relationships transform in profound ways. First, you become more authentic in your connections. You're no longer showing up as who you think others want you to be. You're showing up as yourself, with your real thoughts, your real feelings, your real boundaries. This authenticity creates the foundation for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Second, you become more discerning about who you allow into your life. When you value yourself, you naturally gravitate toward people who also value you. You begin to recognize toxic relationships and either transform them through boundary setting. Themselves don't end up alone. They end up surrounded by healthier, more supportive relationships. They experience a level of intimacy that wasn't possible when they were hiding their true selves or sacrificing their needs. Your work life also changes dramatically when you choose yourself. You stop settling for jobs that drain your spirit. You start recognizing your true talents and finding ways to express them. You become more confident in sharing your ideas and setting boundaries around your time and energy. You also begin to view your work differently. Rather than seeing it as just a way to earn money or gain status, you start to ask, how does this work allow me to express my authentic self? How does it contribute to my growth? How does it allow me to serve in ways that feel meaningful to me? These questions transform your relationship with work from one of obligation to one of purpose. When you choose yourself, you stop comparing your career path to others. You recognize that success isn't about meeting external markers, the right title, the right salary, the right recognition. It's about alignment. It's about waking up most days feeling that your work matters to you, that it uses your gifts, that it allows you to be who you truly are. Many people fear that choosing themselves will harm their career. They worry that if they stop saying yes to everything, if they stop working those extra hours, if they stop taking on tasks outside their job description, they'll be seen as less valuable. But in reality, the opposite often happens. When you value yourself, others value you more. When you respect your time and energy, others respect it too. When you focus on the work that aligns with your strengths and passions, you perform at a higher level. You become known not for doing everything, but for doing the right things exceptionally well. I remember working with a client named Michael who was burning out in his corporate job. He was saying yes to every project, working weekends, answering emails at all hours. He was trying to prove his worth through constant availability and superhuman effort. But he was miserable, his health was suffering, and, ironically, his work was starting to decline in quality because he was spread so thin. When Michael started choosing himself, setting work boundaries, focusing on projects that utilized his strengths, speaking up about his ideas instead of just executing others' visions, something remarkable happened. His colleagues began to see him differently. His boss gave him more meaningful responsibilities. His career actually accelerated rather than stalled, because he was now bringing his best self to work rather than a depleted, resentful self. Your health is another area that transforms when you choose yourself. Our bodies are constantly sending us messages, signals about what they need to thrive. When we're choosing everyone else above ourselves, we often ignore these signals. We push through fatigue, we silence stress, we neglect the basics of self-care in the name of productivity or caregiving or achievement. But when you choose yourself, you start listening to your body. You honor its needs for rest, for nutrition, for movement, for pleasure. You recognize that taking care of your physical vessel isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the foundation that allows you to show up fully in every other area of your life. This isn't about becoming obsessed with perfect health or following rigid rules. It's about treating your body with respect. It's about understanding that your physical well-being is directly connected to your emotional well-being, your mental clarity, and your spiritual vitality. When you choose yourself, you might start saying no to that extra glass of wine that doesn't serve you. You might start prioritizing sleep, even when there's more work to be done. You might start moving your body in ways that feel good rather than punishing. You might start preparing nourishing meals as an act of self-love rather than grabbing whatever is convenient. These choices might seem small, but they add up. They create a foundation of physical being that supports everything else in your life. When your body feels good, when you have energy, when you're not in pain, when your systems are functioning optimally, you have more to give. You show up more fully. You experience more joy. One of the most challenging aspects of choosing yourself is learning to say no without guilt. For many of us, no is loaded with negative associations. We equate it with being unkind, unhelpful, or selfish. We fear the disappointment or anger our no might trigger in others. So we say yes again and again, even when it costs us our best answer. But here's a powerful truth. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to apologize for it. When something doesn't align with your values, your priorities, or your capacity, no is the most honest answer you can give. Learning to say no with kindness, but without guilt, is a skill. It takes practice. It takes a deep belief that your time, your energy, and your boundaries are worthy of respect. But once you master this skill, it becomes one of the most powerful ways you choose yourself. I often suggest that people practice saying no in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes and say, no, that doesn't work for me. Say it with kindness. Say it with confidence. Watch how it feels in your body. Notice any guilt or anxiety that arises, and remind yourself that you have the right to protect your time and energy. Then start small. Say no to something low stakes. A social invitation you're not excited about, a request for help when you're already overwhelmed. Notice what happens. Most often the world doesn't end. People adjust. And you feel a sense of relief, a sense of having honored yourself. As you become more comfortable with no, you can apply it to bigger things. Jobs that don't align with your values, relationships that drain you, commitments that no longer serve you. Each no creates space for a more authentic yes. Each no is an act of choosing yourself. Now let's talk about some practical steps to start choosing yourself today. Because while the concept might resonate with you, the actual practice of putting yourself first can feel challenging. Where do you begin? Start by getting clear on your values. What matters most to you? What principles do you want to guide your life? Is it creativity, connection, growth, peace, adventure? When you're clear on your values, choosing yourself becomes easier because you have a compass to guide your decisions. Next, take an inventory of your current life. Where are you saying yes when you want to say no? Where are you compromising your well-being? Where are you ignoring your own needs? Be honest with yourself about the areas where you're choosing others at your own expense. Then begin setting boundaries. Start small if needed. Let others know what you can and cannot do. Let them know what you need. Practice phrases like, I care about you, but I can't take that on right now. Or, I need some time for myself this weekend. Or, I'm not comfortable with that. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your day. This isn't about expensive spa treatments or elaborate rituals, though those can be nice. It's about the basics. Adequate sleep, nourishing food, movement that feels good, moments of stillness and reflection. When you prioritize these basics, you send yourself a powerful message. I matter. Begin to surround yourself with people who support your journey of self-choice. Find friends who encourage you to honor your needs. Seek out mentors who model healthy self-regard. Read books by authors who understand the importance of choosing yourself. Join communities where authenticity is valued. Another powerful practice is to start your day with intention. Those first moments after waking set the tone for everything that follows. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or jumping into responsibilities, take 5 minutes to center yourself. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself that this day is a gift. Set an intention to honor yourself in every interaction, every decision. Pay attention to the language you use with yourself. Are you speaking to yourself with kindness or criticism? The words we use shape our reality. Replace "I should" with "I choose to" or "I decide not to." Replace "I have to" with "I want to" or "I don't want to." This simple shift in language reminds you that most things in life are choices, not obligation. Create what I call sacred pauses throughout your day. These are brief moments where you check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? What do I need in this moment? Am I honoring myself in this situation? These pauses prevent you from operating on autopilot and help you make conscious choices that align with your authentic self. And perhaps most importantly, practice self-compassion. The journey of choosing yourself isn't always smooth. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns. There will be times when guilt creeps in. There will be times when fear makes you hesitate. In these moments, treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. Remind yourself that you're learning a new way of being, and learning involves missteps. When you consistently choose yourself, something remarkable happens. You create a ripple effect that extends far beyond your own life. Your choice to honor yourself influences everyone around you in ways both subtle and profound. First, you model self-respect for others. When people see you setting healthy boundaries, prioritizing your well-being, and living authentically, they begin to recognize that they can do the same. You give them unspoken permission to choose themselves too. This is especially important if you're a parent. Children learn more from what we do than what we say. When they see you treating yourself with respect, they absorb the message that self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. They learn that their own needs and boundaries matter. They develop a template for healthy relationships with themselves and others. Second, you raise the standard in all your relationships. When you refuse to tolerate disrespect or boundary violations, you create a new normal. You teach people how to treat you through what you accept and what you don't. Over time, this leads to healthier, more balanced connections. Third, you bring more of your gifts to the world. When you're not depleted from overgiving or distracted by trying to please everyone, you have more energy for your true purpose. You can focus on sharing your unique talents and perspectives. You can contribute in ways that feel authentic rather than obligatory. Your choice to put yourself first doesn't just change your life, it has the potential to change many lives. It's like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples extend outward, touching shores you might never even see. As we draw to a close, I want to share with you the ultimate freedom that comes from choosing yourself above all. It's a freedom many people never experience because they remain trapped in the prison of others' expectations, others' approval, others' needs. When you choose yourself consistently, you become the author of your own life. You stop living according to scripts written by your parents, your culture, your religion, or society at large. You begin to write your own story, a story that reflects your authentic desires, your genuine values, your true purpose. This freedom allows you to live without regret. So many people reach the end of their lives and realize they never really lived for themselves. They followed paths laid out by others. They fulfilled expectations that weren't their own. They neglected their deepest desires in favor of what seemed safe or acceptable. But when you choose yourself, you minimize this risk. You make decisions aligned with your truth. You pursue dreams that matter to you, not dreams imposed by others. You create a life that feels authentic rather than performative. This doesn't mean your life will be perfect or without challenges. Choosing yourself isn't a magic ticket to a problem-free existence. But it does mean that whatever challenges arise, you face them as your authentic self. You navigate them according to your own wisdom rather than external pressures. And there's a profound peace in that, a peace that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your truth, a peace that comes from honoring your needs rather than constantly overriding them, a peace that comes from being the same person on the inside. This is the ultimate gift you give yourself when you choose yourself above all, the gift of an authentic life, a life where you don't have to pretend, a life where you don't have to exhaust yourself meeting others' expectations, a life where you are free to be fully, unapologetically yourself. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you choose yourself in this way, not from ego or selfishness, but from a place of self-respect and authenticity, you become more for others, not less. You show up as your whole self rather than a fragmented, depleted version. You give from fullness rather than emptiness. You love from wholeness rather than need. This truth connects to something I've observed throughout my years of studying human potential. We don't attract what we want in life. We attract what we are. When you choose yourself and become a person living in alignment with your highest values, you naturally attract experiences, opportunities, and relationships that match this energy. Your outer world becomes a reflection of your inner state of being. Remember that choosing yourself isn't something you do once and complete. It's a practice you recommit to every day, sometimes every hour. It's a way of moving through the world with awareness and intention. Each time you honor your needs, each time you speak your truth, each time you set a healthy boundary, you're strengthening this muscle. You're telling the universe, I matter. My authentic expression matters. So I ask you, what would change in your life if you started choosing yourself today? What boundaries would you set? What dreams would you pursue? What needs would you honor? What parts of yourself would you reclaim? Consider this possibility. When you choose yourself, you're actually aligning with the natural order of the universe. Every part of nature instinctively takes care of itself first. The flower turns toward the sun. The animal seeks shelter in a storm. The tree draws nutrients from the soil. None of these acts of self-preservation are considered selfish. They're recognized as necessary for survival and growth. You are part of nature too. Your self-care is just as necessary, just as natural, just as beautiful. I often tell people that the greatest gift you can give to the world is your own happiness. Not a forced, superficial happiness that masks pain, but a genuine state of well-being that comes from honoring your truth. When you're truly well, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you become a light in the world. You inspire others, not through your words, but through your being. Your very presence becomes a reminder of what's possible. The journey of choosing yourself isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. It's a journey toward authenticity, toward wholeness, toward a life that truly feels like your own. And it begins with a simple decision. A decision to value yourself as much as you value others. A decision to treat yourself with the same kindness and respect you so readily offer to those you love. You are worthy of being chosen by yourself first and foremost. And when you finally make that choice, everything changes. Your relationships deepen, your work becomes more meaningful, your health improves, your creativity flourishes, and most importantly, you begin to experience the joy and peace that come from living as your authentic self. So choose yourself today, and keep choosing yourself tomorrow and the day after that. Make it a practice, a commitment, a way of life. Your future self will thank you for this gift. The gift of a life truly lived on your own terms.